This must be what it's like to be in a candy store for an adult. With us today is Mike Martin, who owns the Upstate Pinball and Arcade Museum in Simpsonville, South Carolina. And if you're not familiar with the Upstate, it's like the foothills of North Carolina. We're just about maybe 30 minutes from the North Carolina line, not far from Paris Mountain State Park in South Carolina, right outside of Greenville, South Carolina. Mike, thanks for being part of this.
Thank you, Mark.
So my first question is, how did this come about?
Well, it came about as actually kind of Jennifer's idea.
And Jennifer is your wife.
That's right, Jennifer's my wife. She was taking my youngest son, Max, to the Model Train Museum in Taylor's Mill, up in Taylor's, South Carolina, also in the Upstate. And she saw the availability of the space. It was fairly inexpensive for square footage, so we investigated that, and that wasn't available. But then we had a call and said this was available.
But you already had machines at home or something?
I have about 20 machines at home, and I kept collecting more, as one does. And we had visited several of these places across the United States. You know, there were much less of them as there are today. There's much more now today. But everywhere we go on vacation, we would stop at one of these places. And so I knew a lot of the people from online. And my wife said, well, if anybody knows how to start one in the upstate of South Carolina, you're the guy. I know all the connections to the guys that can repair them, guys that know stuff, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And it just became like, it's a no-brainer. You know, I could store all these things for free and bring in income to cover the cost of storage. So it was kind of no-brainer.
Well, it's a great location,
Right,
I guess.
thank you.
I mean, it's close to Greenville.
Right.
And Simpsonville's a pretty good-sized town itself. But how many games are in here?
Oh, gosh, you're going to ask me that. I'm saying close to 60. I would say 55.
And
I don't know exactly how many. I could count, but...
So you still have some at home?
I have one at home.
But this is how your
This
wife's
is my-
idea to rent this space.
Right.
You just decided at some point you wanted a place? You knew this was a dream of yours? And
Well,
it
just became, you know, I visited those places and I just enjoyed them because this is what we did as kids. Before, you know, nowadays you can't let your kid basically do anything on their own. You have to be there monitoring because it's just a dangerous world we live in. But in our day, could get on our bike, drive 5 miles on our bike,
right.
you know, whatever, go to the 7-Eleven and play these games, or go to an arcade and play these games at the mall. Well, those places are all gone. They don't exist. And so I wanted to create a location that looked like it could be an arcade from the 80s. And then most of the stuff is 80s. The pins are of the golden age, what I call the golden age of pinball is the 90s. And the video games are the golden age, which is the 80s.
So back in the 80s, I think you have one maybe from 78?
Yeah, I've got a pinball machine back there from 70. Of course, I got Asteroids, but it's down and it's in my storage unit right now.
What would they have cost back then?
I think they were around $3,000.
No, I meant to play a game.
Oh, 25 cents.
Back then, even
Yeah.
25 cents?
Mm-hmm.
So today, if I were to go to a modern, brand new arcade, what would games
Oh,
run?
you don't even know.
Don't even know.
You don't even know because you're using a swipe card.
That's right.
And so it takes off either points or it tries to take away money altogether. So you're not looking at it as monetary. You're looking at it as in points, and you don't know what the points actually mean in dollars.
So you put money on that card, and it tells you don't have enough money left.
Right, it tells you you don't have enough points left.
So here at your arcade and museum, people pay a set price and they just play?
That's right, it's $10 for the entire day. I give you a stamp on your hand, tells me you've been here and you've paid, and then you can come and go all day. You can go eat lunch somewhere or go eat dinner somewhere and come back and play some more.
That's a bargain.
Right.
It's a bargain. And most people probably never seen these games.
A lot of the kids have never seen them, that's for sure. So, and I would venture to say a lot of adults haven't seen some of these specific games.
Now, you're not that old, but I mean, so some of these certainly have come after you were born, but you are familiar with all these games
yes, oh, yeah.
before you brought them in here.
Yes.
You knew, so these days, if you know of a game and you see it somewhere and you don't have it, you try to.
More than likely, I'm going to get it.
And you have room for any more? I mean, this is.
No, I have 2 storage units full of these things.
Can't put a second story here.
I'm trying to figure out how can I put another one somewhere else.
So, average age of the person who comes in here to play.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I get everything from, older than me to, younger than Max, younger than 7, or younger than 8 now. 4 years old. Anyone under 5 and under is free. So I don't advertise that, but you're welcome to keep that out there. It's just something I don't feel like they need to pay $10 to play, because they're not going to, in my opinion, they're not going to get the joy out of it.
So have any of your patrons stayed here for hours?
Oh yeah. I've had families actually come in the morning, first thing on a Saturday. They leave to go have lunch. They come back and play some more. They go to have dinner, and then they go to have a little snack at the little ice cream station up here.
It's a great location.
Right.
There's all kinds of eating places right next door. You can just park here. And
sometimes parking is difficult.
But, is it? Okay. Yeah. So basically, I mean, to come in here, I mean, you've turned off a lot of the machine noise temporarily for this video. It must be pretty noisy with all these games, bells and whistles and things going.
I also pipe in 80s music.
Okay.
Just to give you that feel of what we would go through. Usually there'd be a jukebox somewhere in the arcades that we would visit, and of course everyone's at that time you're playing 80s music. So I just wanted to keep that feel.
It's a fun place in here.
Thank you.
So what does your family think about this? You got 3 boys. 2 of them are semi-grown. They're in college. One's about to finish college. One's a freshman, and one's a 2nd grader. So that's a big age range. So what do they think about Dad?
Oh, they love it. They love it. And they love introducing other kids to it, and that's where I got a lot of my employees, was my now adult children, their friends.
Yeah, you mentioned one that I taught. I taught your 2 older boys.
That's right.
That's how I got to know you.
Right.
Great kids. And you mentioned one of your managers one time was one of my students too. Is there a game right now that you don't have in here, you have your mind on, your eye?
Well, I've already got one, and it's already moved from the location where it was to a safe location where I can get to it now. I just need to set a time to go and get it. It's been something that's been in the works for over a year now.
Wow.
A gentleman in past that was an operator, and he had a ton of games, and once they broke, for some odd reason, if they weren't earning the money that he expected them to earn, that he would just put them in a warehouse, because you don't, as an operator back then, you don't want to sell your games, because then that's a chance for your competition to buy it, and now it's competition. So you either destroyed it or sold it, across the United States somewhere, not in your local location, or you just kept it in the warehouse somewhere. So some of these games are almost pristine, they just don't work.
And yours look pristine, but I imagine you've bought some that were not in working condition.
Oh, there's many in here that I've built from scratch, almost from scratch, because they had, back in the 90s, when these games were no longer making money, they created games to fit in these cabinets. So they ripped out all the guts, except for the monitor, and put new artwork on it and made it a different game. And it was cheaper to buy the kit of a game than to buy a whole new game.
So did you know anything about fixing pinball or
Not when I started,
games?
no. I didn't even know anything about electricity when I started. But it's something that, fortunately, now we have YouTube, we have the internet now, versus when, I was growing up learning how to work on a car.
Can you get on the phone and call someone? Is there?
Not really, no.
Not really. Because these games are all lit up and bright and colorful.
Right.
Working, I can't imagine. And you sent me an interesting video. Never even thought about this. An artist who painted video game boards. I never even thought about that.
Right.
So who was that guy?
Gosh, I knew you were going to ask that question today.
I can put it in the...
I can't think of his name. Saved my life.
But he was from some other place living in the U.S. and immigrated here. Interesting character, but that was one of his career things, was to paint, I guess you mean the boards, the bottom.
Yeah, so he was a very famous guy. He did Joust over there, and he did a lot of the early pinball machines. He worked for Williams, which is the manufacturer for, let's see here, this one. this one, a couple others. Bally Williams, they combined at some point in the 90s. So a lot of these are basically that same company.
All of these games, they have all these different levels you can get to.
Sure.
And there's no worry about trying to win a free game because they're all going to be free.
But
have you made it to the top level in every one of these games?
No. I'm not a gamer. I'm not a player.
You're not a gamer.
I actually just enjoy the art and fixing. The fixing is, it sounds ridiculous that it sounds fun, but when you get a game that's broken and you get it working, man, it feels great. It feels like $1 million.
I bet it does, yeah. I'm not good at fixing things. I usually make them worse. So
right. Well, that's usually what happens with me. But
I don't believe that. Okay.
That's why I'm so happy when I get it working.
See, I told our listeners, viewers here, this is a happy guy. He's like in the candy store. And he's got all kinds of ideas for the future of things coming up. We're not going to mention this video, but people need to come and check this place out. Anything else you want people to know?
Let me think about that for a
Well, I
minute.
like your little tagline or logo.
Yeah.
Bringing social back. Was that your idea?
Yes, because I thought about especially when COVID hit, the kids kind of all, just kind of dug into video games, and you almost couldn't separate them and take them outside, and even though that's where they needed to be.
It's like their devices in their hand today.
Well, that too, and you got your phone and everyone's like this, and are they talking to anyone while they're doing this? No, Jennifer and I have been to a restaurant where we look around and there's a table of younger adults, and every single one of them are doing this.
And sometimes they're texting each other at the same table.
Right. And I'm not saying I don't do the same thing sometimes, but at least for 20 minutes they were doing this, and I thought, well, if you're doing this, you can't do that. And I've seen.
And here people are looking at you play, and they're trying to play with you.
Right.
Partners,
challenge
whatever.
you.
Yeah, challenge you, whatever.
I've seen a mom came up to me one time, and her daughter wasn't on her phone. She said, "This is the first time I've seen my daughter go this long without looking at her phone."
She should have paid you twice a month. It's already cheap enough. So you can tell Mike's having a good time here.
Yeah.
And people will come in here and have a good time.
Right.
So again, Mike, thanks for having us in. This is Mike Martin, Upstate Pinball and Arcade Museum in Simpsonville. I'll have the address and phone number and hours, etc., in the link below. And there's a website in the description below. Anything else, Mike?
That's all.
Thanks for having us in.
Hey, thank you.